Said his house ain't a home and he's losing sleep. Wife cold as steel, vibe off track. Asked me how the hell to get his edge back.
Happy New Year, guys. I got a good sponsored video for you. He says, I don't want to carry this version of myself into 2026. Paul, I'm writing because I'm coming out of a separation and I don't want to drag this version of myself into the new year. The relationship ended months ago, but it didn't just end the relationship. It stripped away a lot of structure I didn't realize I'd been leaning on. My routine fell apart. My sense of direction took a hit. A lot of things I thought were me were really just tied to being a part of a couple. When that disappeared, I was left with a lot of empty space. Yeah, it's interesting, man. Like when people go through a breakup or a divorce or, separation in this case, it really shows us how much of our identity was outsourced. You know what I mean? And it's a thing that Dr. Robert Glover refers to as fusion. When you spend time with anybody, really, it's not just a wife or whatever, but if you spend a lot of time with certain people, your personalities start to fuse, and that over time causes people to lose themselves, right? Especially men. And a lot of men are the idealists. We're the romantics, right? So in the relationship, we put a lot of identity into being in this relationship with this other person. And a lot of guys mistake a lack of routine for a loss of self. It's kind of interesting because you get used to the routine of being in marriage and the day-to-day and going to work and eating dinner with your wife and whatever, and the monotony of it all. And so then when that is gone, you think that the person who you were is gone too. You know what I mean? And that void, it forces a lot of confrontation with who you are when you're alone. And a lot of guys can't handle that. A lot of guys, they can't handle it. They put so much identity into that relationship that they want to unalive themselves, and they have no idea who they are. And so they're just trying to get that back. And so they're trying to rush into other relationships. That's why it's funny. I'm watching Mad Men, right? And I'm in like season 2 of Mad Men, and what's his name? Cooper. Is it Cooper, or is it's Mr. Roger Sterling, I think is the guy's name, the white hair boss of the show. His wife found out that he's cheating and stuff like that, and so she wants a divorce, and she's getting ready to take him to the cleaners, and he's already proposing to the secretary that he's banging. Like the divorce isn't even finalized, and he's proposing to this chick. It's like, I don't know, dudes just don't know how to be alone. You know what I mean? My man says, everyone around me keeps telling me I should be healing, processing, moving on. I've done plenty of thinking. I understand why it ended. I understand what went wrong. None of that has translated into feeling solid again. If anything, it feels like I've been standing still while time keeps moving. One thing that I found while coaching men one-on-one and also like coaching guys through the wolf pack when it comes to breakups is that a lot of men tend to over-focus on the past relationship to a point where that's all they can think about. It consumes them. It consumes every thought and every minute of their day, right? And they end up just spiraling further because of all the would've, could've, should'ves. And it causes a lot of guys to go into a really dark depression, and a part of healing is realizing that you can't change the past. It's gone. It's over with. You know what I mean? The path doesn't even exist, right? It only exists up here. Same with the future, really. It only exists up here. The only time you have really is right now. But you can't change it. You can't change the past. And sure, you can look back on what you probably could have done better, but then you need to focus on what you will do going forward, right? And we had a guy in the pack who he was reading Forget That bitch. He was reading Forget That Bitch, and he was in the wolf pack, and he was trying to get over his ex, and it was actually causing him to go further into depression because it just kept him focused on his ex. Right. And so I finally realized what was going on with him because he just couldn't snap out of it, And I said, hey, man, why don't you actually take a break? Take a break from reading Forget That Bitch for a while. And I actually gave him some Wayne Dyer stuff to listen to. I had a couple of like MP3 of Wayne Dyer's like old audiobooks. And I said, hey, man, just listen to this. Listen to this for a little bit. Just give your mind a break from the breakup and focus on literally anything else. Right. And that actually helped him to snap out of it. And he was able to go back to Forget That Bitch and finish the work to actually help him move on. But he was just so focused on the would have, could have, should have stuff that he was, getting more depressed. Right. My man here, he goes on, he says, what really bothers me is how cautious I've become since the separation. I hesitate more. I second guess myself. Even when I'm around women now, I'm more focused on not messing up than what I actually want. And that's not how I used to operate. It's weird, man. It's really weird. But when you overthink about messing up with women, you actually end up messing up more. You know what I mean? That's why it's really good, especially if you've been out of practice for a while. A lot of married guys that are, they're recently separated. They find themselves back on the dating circuit. You haven't been dating in, this guy didn't say how long he was married, but a lot of you guys haven't been married for 10, 15, 20 years. You haven't been out there dating, right? You are out of practice. And it is a much different world than it was back when you met your wife and got married and started living with her. For a lot of you guys, it's a completely different world. You know what I mean? And so what you need to do if you are ready to go back on the dating circuit is to treat it like a science experiment, man. Like, don't take it so seriously. Don't try to make things happen. You're just out there collecting data and practicing what works and what doesn't work for you, and otherwise you're not just out there. You're just out there having fun. You're not trying to make anything happen. Take the pressure off yourself. You know what I mean? But a lot of you guys can't be alone. And so you are like, I have to be in a relationship. I have to find a girlfriend. And that just comes across to the women as being ultra needy. You know what I mean? It's unattractive behavior and it pushes them away. You know what I mean? So stop overthinking this stuff and just have some fun with it and don't try to make anything happen. Just treat everything like a science experiment. He says, I can also see how much ground I gave up in the relationship without noticing. Little compromises at first, then bigger ones. Over time, my life shrank around the relationship instead of the other way around. By the time it ended, there wasn't much left that felt like mine. That part is hard to admit. It's good that you're aware of it now, man. Like, don't beat yourself up over it. And this is really common. So it's good that you're aware of it because most men never become aware of how much they gave up in relationships because a lot of men just think that's how life's supposed to be. You know what I mean? They think like, yeah, I did everything right and she just left and, she's the bitch, right? But you're realizing that there's things that you could have done better and there's a better path going forward, So I think that's good. Let's see here. I started listening to your show because I didn't want to come out of this bitter or checked out. I found you while searching for content around breakups. What you say about breakups being a turning point instead of a setback keeps sticking with me, especially the idea that pain either hardens a man or forces him to rebuild himself properly. That feels like where I'm at right now. Sometimes you guys, I feel like Aaron Clary. Sometimes when I first met Aaron Clary, right? And I was reading his book, The Menu. I think it was The Menu had come out when I first met Aaron. And I'm reading that book. And I also read Bachelor Pad Economics, I think. And so oftentimes when I'm listening to a book, like an audiobook, or I'm reading a book and I find something that really captures my attention, I like to post it on social media as a quote, and so I was like, quoting Aaron and like tagging him in it. And every quote I put out there, he was like, did I say that? I said that? So when you guys say, hey, when you talk about blah, 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 I'm like, I said that? I don't know. I don't know. I'm starting to turn into Aaron Clary over here. Anyway, he goes, let's see here. Especially like the idea of whatever. And he goes, that feels like where I'm at right now. Well, just think, man. Okay. You are full of new beginning magic right now. Okay. It's after a breakup. A man has to rebuild himself after a breakup. Okay. Well, New Year's is all about rebuilding yourself, right? New year, new me. Okay. Sounds like you have some work to do to make 2026 the best year ever, right? Use that to your advantage right now. Put that mindset there. Like, fuck yeah, this is a new year, new me. I'm going to make this the best year ever. You got to rebuild yourself anyway. You might as well rebuild yourself into the man you always wanted to be and go after the things you've always wanted. Okay. Now there's no better time than after a divorce. No better time. He says, as we head into 2026, I don't want this separation to define the next chapter of my life. I don't want to numb out, drift, or repeat the same patterns with someone new. I want to rebuild my identity, my direction, and my confidence from the ground up instead of just surviving this. That's why I wanted to sponsor this episode. I can see the crossroads clearly now. I just need help understanding how to turn this into something that actually makes me stronger instead of something I quietly carry forward. Appreciate the work you do. Well, brother, one thing I'll say this, like, there's no need to rush into anything. Okay. A lot of men, like I said before, just can't be alone. You said, I don't want to take this into, in same patterns with someone new. Well, for now, just learn to be more comfortable being alone for a while. Like learn to enjoy your solitude. Okay. There's no reason to rush into something new with anybody. Okay. Sure. Maybe, if you're feeling up to it, you said you've been separated for a couple of months now, maybe casually date. Sure. Right. But don't try to get into anything serious. There's no reason to do that right now. Okay. If you haven't yet, grab Forget That Bitch. All right. And also grab the workbook that goes with it. It will really help you understand the strategy of rebuilding yourself after a situation like this, and find better women too, right? A lot of guys go with the women that they the first woman that's nice to them, right? They whatever woman is somewhat nice to them, that's what they go for, and they go all in on that chick. You're not going to do that anymore. You're not going to settle anymore. You're only going to get the kind of women you actually want. Okay. Which we break that down and Forget That Bitch. Okay. And I'll tell you what, right? Like I said at the beginning, if you find yourself focusing too much on the separation, take a break for a bit. Okay. And focus on something more positive. Right. A lot of guys can handle this. No problem. They'll read all the stuff that went wrong with the relationship. They'll look at like why getting back with an ex is a terrible idea. And then they're able to move forward. But a lot of guys read that stuff and they get hyper focused on, fuck, I can't believe I used to do that. I can't believe I did that. And I'm such an idiot. And then they like to beat themselves up, and we have a negativity bias. If you find yourself doing that kind of stuff, put the book down, read something a little more positive. Okay. One of the upcoming books I plan to do is I think I'm only going to do two books in a series, but it's going to be a zeroed out series for guys that find themselves spiraling into depression or like just having a lot of anxiety, because those are like the two biggest mental things that I see a lot in this space. Guys with a lot of depression, guys with a lot of anxiety. And what I'm planning on doing for those books is write it using a lot of NLP and hypnotic writing styles, so that as you're reading that book, it will literally cure you of depression or anxiety, right? So it'll be like a 2-book series. That's one of the ideas I have floating around in my head that I've written down on my list of books to write, because after writing Forget That Bitch and then seeing our brother in Wolfpack like making him spiral more, I was like, I need a book for guys that are in like serious depression. You know what I mean? So I can say, hey, read this one first, then read Forget That Bitch. Okay. When you, This guy doesn't sound like he's too depressed. He sounds like he's going to be okay. But some guys, they just can't handle this stuff. And I get it. I get it. We're the idealists. You know what I mean? And I've been there too. I've been in really bad breakups where like I had to lay down on the couch. I could barely even breathe. Like that's how bad I felt. So I empathize with you. I would also like to recommend, since I mentioned it before, I'd like to recommend that you get into a wolf pack if you're in a position like this, okay? And swap notes with other guys. There's other guys going through what you're going through. You don't have to go through this breakup stuff alone. There's other guys going through the stuff too, okay? That's what wolf pack's for. There's links for both of those in the description. I'll drop a link to the book here in the chat, though, if any of you guys are watching live right now. But here's a link to Forget That Bitch. And then there's a QR code at the beginning of the book for anyone that gets this. There's a QR code at the beginning to get the workbook that goes with it as well. All right. But that's all I got for this episode. It's pretty cut and dry, man. I think you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay, but grab that book. And 2026 is going to be your year, brother. 2026 is going to be awesome for you. Let's see in the chat here. Brother David's in the house. Hell yeah. He says, Happy New Year's, everyone. This is the year, guys. Transform yourselves. Phil says, come on, man. Yes, indeed. Come on, man. JD Ambrose says, hello there. And let's see. Oh, David sent a $10 super chat. He says, guys need to take a break after a breakup to work on themselves. Absolutely. Learn to be alone for a little bit, take 6 months to a year off to heal. It's a good idea. There's no reason to go rushing into something, I'm going to give him this one here.
I was just going to say it. This guy fucks. Am I right?
Yeah, David definitely fucks. All right. Barbarian says, catching a live stream. Nice. Hey, good to see you, man. I'm glad you're here. Oh, hey, Brother John's in the house. He says, I like these field reports at this time. Oh, good. I'm glad you like these, man. Yeah. And they're sponsored episodes. So if you guys keep sponsoring episodes, I'll keep doing these on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They're kind of fun. They're short, easy content. It's really easy to read an email and, write some notes to it. Let's see here. Barbarian also says, guys need to work on themselves right now. Break or no break, meaning building frame under pressure is the true test if you have frame at all. Well, yeah, but there's plenty of time for that. Hey, Phil sent a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. I'm going to give him this one.
Respect the cock and tame the cunt.
Absolutely right. That's it. That's exactly what we do here on this channel. Let's see here. David says, Paul, I know you'll be shocked, but watching your show with a cigar, really? That's weird. Seems weird. I don't, doesn't sound like you, man. Not at all. David says the dread course is an absolute must if you want to transform your life this year. Yeah. Dread. If your wife's not fucking you, definitely take the dread course. Go to dread.fixeddeadbedrooms.com for that. I don't have a link for that in this one though here. JD Ambrose says the health stats of single divorced men is pretty staggering. Substance abuse, depression, obesity, high blood pressure, even self-deleting rate. It's really sad. And this is honestly one of the things I found shocking when I first got into the space, right? When I first started the podcast, I didn't consider myself red pill really at that time. And I kind of thought red pill was bad, right? Like a lot of people, I had a misunderstanding of what red pill was. And I had Rollo Tomasi on. He was like one of the first big names in the space that I had on my show. And right before I had him on the show, I had Paul Benjamin on. Paul Benjamin was the first Rule Zero guy that I had on the show. And so I had Paul Benjamin on. And one of the things that he told me, he goes, one of the reasons why Rollo does this is to help guys not self-delete. He said that Rollo's brother-in-law unalived himself after I think Rollo's sister divorced him and he hung himself or something like that. I might be misquoting here. It's been a while since I heard that story, but that's one of the things that motivated Rollo to understand the red pill and to write his books and all that kind of stuff. And since being in the space for the last going on 6 years now, I see it too. I see so many guys get super depressed. They put so much identity in their relationships that when it ends, they don't feel like they have any way to move forward. It's really sad to watch. And so being able to help those guys, get those kinds of guys in the wolf pack, we see those guys all the time. They get in there and they're super depressed. They come out better on the other side. It's really rewarding to be able to help those types of guys like that. You know what I mean? I'll tell you what, though, if you join the wolf pack and you are legit talking about unaliving yourselves, like one of the first things I'll do is like, hey man, call the hotline, call the, we can't even say the word on the podcast because of YouTube. Right. But call the unaliving hotline and like talk to someone. But this guy that I was telling you about who was reading this and it was making him more depressed. He was talking about not wanting to be here anymore. I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to live. And I said, dude, call the hotline. So he calls the hotline. The hotline people said, are you going to hurt yourself right now? And he goes, no, I don't think I'm going to hurt myself right now. They fucking hung up on him. So Wolfpack's a good place. If you are having those thoughts, but you're not really ready to pull the trigger yet, get in the Wolfpack. We'll talk to the guys about the stuff. There's better path forward. But if you are really, you got a bottle of Jack Daniels and a loaded 9mm, call the hotline. Okay. Absolutely. Call the hotline, guys. All right. Let's see. David says, that 2-book series, Paul, is so neat. It is, man. And it has just been us in the Wolfpack talking with the other guys that are going through like really bad breakups and stuff. I'm like, fuck, I need a book for this. So, that's the next book is good. The next book's going to be on, it's going to be called Dick Her Down Right. And I'm going to start on it this month and that should be ready by the summer. And that's going to be a book on sex. I talked to Eric Everhart about it. So one of the things that I'm planning on doing in there is, he's got a platform called Eric Everhart Academy. If you guys don't know who Eric Everhart is, he's a legendary porn star, right? And he's a good friend of mine too. And so I was telling him, I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to like really plug your Everhart Academy in this new book. And he goes, oh, I'm creating a whole new platform. So he's like, I'll give you a link that people can go to for that book. So look for that this summer. It should be good. Wesley says, I am planning on joining the pack. Well, stop planning on it and do it, brother. There's a 7-day free trial, man. So get in the pack and see if you like it. I'll drop a link to it here in the live chat, man. We'd love to have you in the pack, man. Love to have you in the pack. So join now if you like it. It's a 7-day free trial. If you don't like it, no harm, no foul. You can cancel. But I'll tell you what, a week from this Saturday, so the 10th, January 10th, Dar Fitness, brother Drake in the group. He goes by Drake in the group. That's not his real name though. But Brother Drake is going to give us a clinic on working out and fitness because he is a physical trainer. So that should be good. And we do private pod classes for pack members once a month. So join now and you'll be able to access that this week from Saturday. All right. Wait. You said restarted, hit you up. Oh, you're going to jump back in the pack. That would be good to see you in the pack too, man. All right. Back in the pack, actually. All right, guys, that's all I got. Tune into the podcast tomorrow. This is going to be fun for me. I don't know if you guys are going to like this, but I've been looking forward to this live stream for like 2 weeks now. But I'm going to be reading to you guys this book, The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. It's going to be a Frame Friday episode. And my goal with that is to kick off the new year right for y'all. Plus, I think you guys are really going to really enjoy that. I've been listening to the original record version on repeat for the last couple of weeks. And I plan to keep listening to it for the next couple of months every day. Because it's only like a 35-minute audio recording, right? But it really helps you put you in the mindset of wanting to achieve your goals. It's a very motivational message. And I was like, I'm going to do a whole live stream on this. So tomorrow morning, The Strangest Secret. If you guys really need some motivation for 2026, tune into that episode. We'll be live at 10 a.m. Eastern time. But that's all I got, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning.